Hey, everybody. Welcome to this month's Indaba. My name is Heather Ellsworth, your usual host. Here with Britt, Alish, Christy, and we are going to talk about some pretty cool open source conference stuff. With that, let's kind of go around. Alish, do you want to start off and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Alish. I am from Barcelona, and I have been contributing to KDE software for the last 15 years or so. I am right now the president of the KDV, KDV being the organization around that governs, so to speak, the KDE community. But also, I am a software developer. I've been working on our code like since the beginning. That's how I got hooked into that thing. And yeah, I've been working on our software center, which is how I ended collaborating with the Linux App Summit, which is what brings us here today. Yeah, that's mostly me.
That's great. Christy, how did you get involved?
Hello, everyone. I am Christy Strogri. I am from Tirana, Albania. I'm the program manager for the GNOME Foundation, actually just recently, because I've been a program coordinator before, but for good news, I got the PMP certification, so I'm the manager now. Yeah, I've been involved with the GNOME Foundation for the last 3 years. And before that, I've been contributing in the free and open source world, let's say mostly locally, in the hackerspace that's based in my hometown, Tirana. I've been the chairwoman there for like around 5 years. And from there, I had the possibility to contribute to some other free and open source events and conferences, and also to like other communities such as Mozilla, Nextcloud, LibreOffice, and so on. And I'm so happy to be part of this conversation today. And thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, thank you for being with us. Britt and I have hung out with Christy and Alish many times, and it's always great to have the conference that's put on, jointly by both GNOME and KDE. And I think it goes really smoothly. So the last couple of years, LOS has been remote for obvious reasons, right? The pandemic. And then but this year, we're going to try something new. We're going to do remote and in person. So in person is going to be in Rovereto, Italy. And I am excited. I hope that hope folks can come and join us, if not in person, remotely. So we have the call for abstracts, the call for papers open now. So you can come submit a talk. I think until like March 18th, you can submit your talk, and we'll announce the kind of winners. No, the accepted talks kind of shortly thereafter. So initially, Linux App Summit wasn't a joint effort between GNOME and KDE, right? It was just a GNOME effort. I think it's gotten a lot better.
Yeah, originally it was the LibreApp Summit,
right?
And the inaugural one I was actually at. It was in Colorado Springs in the United States.
Denver.
Oh, Denver. Yeah, not Colorado Springs. But then since then it's grown, and it's become a joint effort, like a true joint combination of the efforts of the KDE Foundation and also the GNOME Foundation. So how is that working? I know a lot of people out there think that we're, enemies kind of battling each other all the time, but I think the truth is that we're all friends. So how's it like working together?
Well, I think that it has worked quite all right. At least I don't remember anyone being mad at each other at any point in history. Actually, possibly as well because it's the people who we're most invested in working together that have been involved in this endeavor, and because it's part of the reason to be at least of LAS right now, to bring both and beyond communities together, and well, to collaborate on actually like getting things done that work in the same in the same direction. Because well, it's very easy to only just talk to the people who are like directly your friends, and it's a way to facilitate this meeting, right? Like we used to have, for example, the desktop summits, which to many extents they work quite well in the past, but they also kind of felt a bit like two conferences, and that we were like pushing people together. And here we do have a shared well agenda that way, and we have well tons of topics that we get to discuss, and LAS is the place to do it right now, right?
Definitely. Yeah, Christy, do you have thoughts on that? Like how you've seen it go?
In my experience, and I guess that from the experience of other people that are from the GNOME side, we've also had a very good time with KDE folks. Everything has been going great, no fightings, so everything was so smooth. I think that despite the differences and everything else, when two different groups, let's say, come together for a certain goal and for a certain subject, then things actually manage to work out pretty well. And uh, we see, personally, I see this as a conference with very potential in terms of the improvement and in terms of the participation. I guess that in the future we'll have the possibility to spread it also even more and to have more attendees, more speakers, as the topics are super great for the Linux world, and we have always received very positive feedback regarding the agenda, regarding the organization, and it looks good.
But it's been probably one of the problems we've had with how Linux has evolved over time, that we've been very controlling of the people who got to participate in the products we've been creating. Uh, and it hasn't been until like we've had the technology means to solve that we've been able to put that conference together, right? Like LAS 10 years ago or 20 years ago would have been entirely different, or maybe even not possible at all, right? So it's been like the technology that has brought this opportunity and the reason for us also to meet and discuss these things. And it definitely will grow as long as, well, the Linux as a platform grows and people want to take part on it. And well, beyond GNOME and KDE, right? We want people who are creating products to be part of the Linux and as an operating system and as an ecosystem. And the only way I would say to make sure that these people are part of it is by, well, getting them together and having all of us talk and speak our minds.
Yeah, and with that, like I think it's one thing that stood out to me since GNOME and KDE has kind of come together is that the talks that are given are generally, shared common ground. Like, let's have talks or BOFs on Flatpaks or snaps, right? That doesn't matter, like what desktop environment. Or we can talk about legal and licensing or just general gaming. Like all of the talks generally have really been broad and encompassing because there is so much like shared space there. I was kind of surprised, it's great.
Well, on the other hand, it probably also makes a lot of sense, right? Like games, for example, everybody would expect GTA to be the same game exactly on Linux if you had it there, right? So is the reason why GTA is not working on Linux a technical problem or otherwise? And in any case, since it clearly is doable because on Linux we can have full screen things and use the keyboard or whatever to move a character around, and that makes these things happen. And this we can extrapolate with a lot of things, right? Like there's plenty of software that is available on all platforms but Linux, and like there's literally no reason for that.
Yeah, definitely. So we've had all kinds of talks in the past that have spanned quite a area. So we've got about 10 talks that have been submitted so far. I think maybe I already said that. But this year we do want to kind of encourage folks to submit talks on gaming on Linux. That's something that, both foundations really want to see gain some momentum. And we all want to help out on that. So if you are a game developer, an open source game developer, or maybe somebody that's just been tinkering and you want to share with us your experience, good, bad, ugly, whatever, I think that's always great, because it's always like adding information. Here's what I've done. Here's what I've tried. Here's where I'm stuck. Let's collaborate and see how we can move past things. Or how maybe you made a cool game and you want to just like tell the world about it. This is a good welcoming environment to do that.
Yeah, once again, gaming is probably one of these topics that like we've had technological change that has affected all of the ecosystem, right? Like, for example, and definitely the work that Valve has put into gaming is making it possible for people to be on Linux that they wouldn't have dreamt about it, like not years ago, but probably even months ago. And having all of these gamers that can't take us seriously right now suddenly is something super interesting. And not just by the foundations, right? I think that all of us who have been using Linux for the last decades, we've been looking forward to these kind of big organizations to take us seriously and just go with it. And it's just not about like the handheld device, right? It's about all of the opportunities that we open in the ecosystem, and in practice, all of the products that we put on the table, like they all become more powerful suddenly, just because like there's more stuff available to our users, right?
Yeah, totally. What other kinds of talks would you two like to see be submitted?
I think that, so beside the talks that are technical and like also in the last editions, we've had variety of very technical talks. I think that it's good to emphasize that we also need talks that are in the non-technical side, talks that belong to the community, or diversity and inclusion, everything that has to do with the non-technical aspect. I think that it's a very crucial part of a conference to have also this other kind of dynamics and to have a very diverse schedule and agenda. And since also building up communities is a very important thing, both for KDE and both for GNOME, I think having those kind of topics would be an asset and a value for our conference. So I want to have like to also make a call for everyone that would like to submit a talk in case that you have in mind something that's non-technical. You are more than welcome to submit it in our conference, and we'd love also to see these kind of topics. I also see this as an opportunity to have contributors and to welcome contributors that do not have a technical background, as it will also help us to grow our community and to get different perspectives and different information. And sharing knowledge always helps us grow, so it's never a bad thing.
Yeah, absolutely. Some of the most like useful talks I've attended were some of the non-technical ones. Yeah, in general, like conferences. So yeah, those are very needed as well.
Christy leads to a really interesting point. Who is this conference for, would you say? Is this for developers wanting to do hackathons, or is this for anyone who wants to just learn about Linux in general? Who would you say the target audience is?
Yeah. You can go, Alice.
Okay. As I see it, I was mentioning before how we've had this technology revolution in being able to treat apps as a product before. I think that this is what we're talking about here, how as a person you can decide, let's make this a whole product that I'm going to call an app. And I think that we all more or less know what an app is. Maybe we could go philosophical about this later on. But I am sitting and wanting to address part of my user's life, and I want to do it completely, right? There's definitely technical aspects to it, but there's non-technical aspects, and actually it's technical, but on other fields, right? Like legal matters are technical, but just not written in C. It's just a different kind of role that you need there. And well, in free software, we've maybe been very used to having a lot of developers because it's like the kind of first thing you need. And we've also offloaded a lot of this work to maybe distributions who have been taking care of, well, I was saying legal, also promotion, right? But when we talk about and we think about apps, we need to tell people no, and now you will need to do the promotion of your application, you will need to take care of the legal aspect of your application, you will need to take care of the design of your application. Like you can piggyback on the work that we do in KDE and no, but nevertheless you're in charge of what you're putting forward, and if it's not what you want, it's up to you to fix it, right? It's not somebody else's fault, or yeah, you don't get to blame it on others. And then you're empowering these people, and to empower these people and to make sure that they all can create these products, we need to have places to do it. You can do documentation, but you can also do a conference where you can see people who have been putting the means for you to do that, and this is last as it is right now.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it definitely opens up a forum for more questions and stuff. I see my cat just walked by with a dryer ball.
Yeah.
It's like they know. Yeah, very excited about loss. Yeah, so actually, I saw that here's a little. Folks can go here to take a look and submit a talk there. Also, just linuxappsummit.org is our website. So please take a look, consider giving a talk. It's a very welcoming community that everybody's just down to earth. So if you're terrified of giving a talk, totally get it, but people are not going to be mean at all. Everybody's going to be very nice. So yeah, whether that's remote or in person, consider it, because we do accept like remote presenters as well. And we are working on getting the registration open. That should be open like early next week is kind of the goal. And yeah, be sure to let us know if you're going to come in person or not. And I had something else that I just lost it.
I want to talk a little bit about the history of loss, kind of where it got started. For a lot of people, this might be the very first time that they're learning about this conference. It is a new and upcoming conference in the Linux open source ecosystem. So like we said before, we got started early on in Denver, Colorado. But since then, in the subsequent years, we've had at least one other in-person as well as a remote. Can you guys go back in time and tell us a little bit about how loss has grown since its kind of early stages and how it's maybe changed?
Well, I guess that you get to do a podcast with Sri one day, and then he will tell you the prehistory a little. I can tell you my story with it, which was that I was part of the last Libra Up Summit that happened in Denver as well. And I think I was the second at that point, where Sri reached out to me and said, we're talking apps. You, KDE, are doing apps. You also probably are interested in things. Come and let's work together. I can maybe admit that I was a bit jealous that no one was doing it before. I think that, well, I do believe in apps as a concept and talking about apps and how they relate to well, the desktop environments we create. So while I was on board, I went there. I gave a couple of talks. Also, a couple of other people from KDE came and gave their talks. And well, it was great. There we talked with Sri, with Neil, and Nuritzi, and we started plotting how we could make it a bit bigger and more shared endeavor, which is how we ended up with Linux App Summit, with this rather intentional switch in the name, not just because switching, but because I think that it explains a little bit more the intent of what we're doing. And then I organized LAS here in Barcelona, which, this was the thing. And well, here we are, I guess. A couple of years of pandemic, end of story.
I heard from a number of people, particularly Danielle and Cassidy over Elementary, that the Barcelona loss was particularly fantastic. They said it was an amazing experience.
I would agree with that. It was particularly good.
I didn't get to go. I'm so sad.
It was great to have you all over.
Do we
Christy-
know where LAS
sorry.
is going to be next year? No, right?
Well, if you want to bring LAS to your city, reach out to the LAS organizing team, and we will make sure that you're taken into consideration.
Yeah. So people can also hold amazing LASes.
How is it decided where it lost the city that it's going to be? What's the process for choosing a city?
We opened the call for locations, like I think a couple of months before. We started with the organization of the conference, and on the call for locations, we received the bids, and after that, we come in a discussion to see who fulfills the requirements, and then we go for that city.
Awesome. And what should we know about this year's city in Italy? Like, what is the venue going to be like? Is it going to be really nice?
Yeah, it's a very fantastic city. It's very beautiful. It's in the very north of Italy, so I think it's pretty close to Trento. And this is one of the ways also going through Trento to reach the city. It's actually a small one, but it's very unique on what it offers, and it's very beautiful. The weather, I expect to be a little bit cooler than at least in the south of Europe where I live, but I think that it will be amazing. So get your cameras because you're gonna get some wonderful shots.
It's in the Italian Alps, right? So
Yeah.
it's one of
Ooh.
these cozy villages in the German-ish part of Italy, I believe.
Hmm.
Not that easy to know German or Italian, I guess. But
Yeah,
Well,
it's very
that's-
close to the border with Austria, I think.
yeah, going there is not that complex. You get to fly to either Milan, Venice, or
Venice.
Bologna. I think that you can also fly somewhere in Switzerland or Austria, and then you need to take a train. I mean, it depends on where you go. Like the train will be longer or so, but you can be there with a flight and then 1 hour or so by train, which is quite nice. And then you're in a like nice area and hopefully nice people. Nice people, definitely.
That's the best part.
What about the venue itself? Where is the event going to be hosted?
It's a pretty big venue for the at least for the standard of the small city that it is. Um, since it's very small, there isn't, I guess that everything will be so close, like the city center, the venue, and
Mhm.
and things like that. It's pretty packed. So the venue should be easy reachable, and we also are planning to have a free space like in the first floor for the booths and for people to hang around when the conference is done, or even like during the conference, so they can socialize. We'll have coffee breaks for everyone to have a coffee and to talk with each other. The venue fulfills perfectly on what we're like our requirements and what we are looking for. And in the upcoming weeks, we will also update our website with the places that you can go, like for tourism, if you're planning to have 1 or 2 more days after or before the conference is happening. So people can wander around and can also visit museums maybe and other attractions. and we'll be able, with a very big help from the local team, which a big hi and thank you to the local team. We'll have it all updated, and hopefully we'll be able to offer a good conference there as well.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think everybody should be excited about the Linux App Summit. Here, I'll put the link in here so folks can go and see Linux App Summit org. There we go. So please go take a look and join us. Consider joining us. Yeah, is there anything else you guys wanted to talk about, Loss, or would you like to talk about some other open source conferences coming?
Yeah, one last thing. I think that it's worth mentioning. Like where we're coming from a pandemic, we will put whatever we think that is necessary to make sure that everyone is safe. Obviously, there will be the regulations that are part of the country. We cannot, well, do anything about that. I'm not gonna call the Italian president and tell them that this or that person is coming. But otherwise, like we hope that, or not, we hope we will put the necessary measures so that everybody is safe and it all works. But on the other hand, we're very excited to be able to meet again and to be together again, which I think that it's very important for the community, right? For us as humans who need to work together. And yeah.
I also wanted to add something else. We are very, very open to sponsorships. If you are, if you're a company or if you'd like to donate to us, it would be very, very much appreciated. It would really help us to organize a very good conference and to also help our both communities, GNOME and KDE. And if you're interested, please visit our website, and there you'll be able to see our contact where you can write us, and we'll send you the more details. Also, there is a sponsorship brochure, which you can check it, and hopefully you can join us in this aspect as well.
Yeah, so if you feel like your company might want to do sponsorship or something, please give us or if you have any questions or concerns, this is how you can email us. Email us to info@linuxappsummit.org, and we will certainly get back to you with answers or sponsorship brochure or whatever. Okay, so we're nice people. Even though it's an email list, it's only kind of a few people that get it. So. Yeah, okay, great. Well, I'm very excited to see you all in person at LOS. It's April 29th and 30th. That's a Friday and a Saturday. Yeah, it will be very long overdue. And in the season of conferences, now that travel is kind of opening up again, I think GUADEC is kind of up before Academy. Do you want to talk a little bit about GUADEC?
Yes, sure. So GUADEC is the biggest annual conference of GNOME. For everyone who don't know, we are having the conference organized this year in Mexico, in Guadalajara, and it will happen from 20 to 25th of July. We are expecting to have many people coming from Europe, US, and also from Mexico and in the local areas. Currently, we have announced our dates. You can check for more information at guadec.org. And in the upcoming week, we'll open the call for papers, and we'll keep on updating our website with the registrations and uh, and other details. Something that I want to emphasize is that this year it will be the 25th anniversary of GNOME, and we promise that GUADEC is going to be super big and super nice, so we can all celebrate the birthday there, since it's a very big event for us. And we really hope to see you all in Mexico and to join us in our celebrations, in our wonderful schedule that we'll have speakers and participants.
That's very exciting. I think, again, it's the first in-person one after a couple of years, right?
Yeah. So we had two online, like from the pandemic before this one. Hopefully, will happen in person. And the last one that we had in person was in Greece, in Thessaloniki. So we are really, really looking forward to meet everyone in person, and I hope that everything will go great till then.
And beyond just being the 25th GUADEC, this is also going to be, correct me if I'm wrong, the first GUADEC held outside of Europe. This is the first North American GUADEC, right?
Yes, that's true. So GUADEC has been a conference that has historically happened only in Europe. This is what E stands for, the GUADEC. So, but now it's E for everywhere. We are sending GUADEC. We'll have GUADEC in Mexico. And yeah, so we're super excited. This is the first time it's like on, let's say, as an experiment, or I don't know, since it's a unique experience it will be. But I'm pretty sure with all the excitement that we have from the community and all the positive feedback we have received, I'm pretty sure that we'll put together wonderful and a great conference.
That's exciting. I can't wait to go. Alish, do you want to talk about KD conferences Academy?
Sure. Ours is happening a little bit later in the year. We're planning it on the first week of October. So if you want to come, you still have some time. If you want to send a talk, you can start drafting it, but you cannot send it just yet. But yeah, we're working on putting it together soon. We're gonna have it here in Barcelona if everything goes well again. So since you are all so happy about when you came for LAS, you can repeat your experience now with a K flavor, a K experience in Barcelona. This time it's going to happen in the UPC University, which is where a couple of us studied, and yeah, they have some nice spaces where we can do what we want, and again, with the safety measures we think that will be necessary so that everybody is safe and sound, which is of course of major concern. Yeah, Barcelona, come October, save the date.
That's exciting. Yeah, I'm excited for all of the travel this year for sure. So Christy, were there other like GNOME conferences you wanted to chat about?
Yes, sure. So before jumping to the other GNOME conferences, I want to repeat the openness that we have for the sponsorship for GUADEC as well. If you'd like, it can be a very good opportunity to sponsor last GUADEC Academy and do this world a favor with sponsoring software events. And for the other upcoming events that we have in GNOME, it's GNOME Asia. So we are expecting to have this event in Malaysia, in Kuala Lumpur, hopefully by the end of October or the beginning of November. We are still not sure about the dates, as it will be decided later this year. But once we'll have decided, we'll post the announcement on Twitter and in our social medias as well. Yeah, it's the same with the GNOME Asia. We've had online editions, and before that we were in Indonesia. And it's a conference that's based and that's mostly dedicated to the audience in Asia, and also like the speakers are located in that part of the world. But this doesn't mean that European or other speakers coming from the rest of the world are not welcome. Definitely you are. You can fly to Malaysia and you can enjoy your time in that conference as well. And beside that, we are having a series of small events in Africa under this new initiative that we're having in GNOME that's called university outreach. Basically, it's a series of events happening in different schools, mostly in Nigeria, Kenya, and Cameroon. And during the last year, we've had few events, and now we're expecting to have few others these 2 months, like on February and March. And in case that you are located in Africa, please send us an email. And if you are interested to hold your to organize your own event, GNOME is very happy to help you with the organization, and we can send you also a few swag for the students to share it. And we have some also speakers that are GNOME contributors that can participate remotely in the event.
That's really cool. I love those extra initiatives, like to kind of bring those things to the classrooms. And these, I think KDE has some. I mean, I don't want to say similar initiatives, but like there's some eco-friendly initiatives.
Maybe you can put the URL I visited earlier somewhere. There's this thing we've been calling KDE Echo internally, but which is a partnership we've been doing with Blauer Engel, which is a German organism tied to their government that focuses on certifying products for being eco-friendly in different ways. And we've been working together to see what it looks like when software is eco-friendly, and actually like what does it actually mean, which is probably what the first thing you think that pops into your head when you hear about software eco-friendliness, right? We're looking into seeing what it takes to certify a piece of software, certifying some of ours. I think that we're gonna announce soon our first, which is gonna be an announcement, and we're working towards doing it much more. So if somebody is interested in looking into this for their piece of software, you can reach out to us. I'm pretty sure that on the URL over there, you can find information how to contact. And Joseph, he will reach out back to you, and we'll see how to work together. But in practice, I think that it's very interesting to think about how what's the impact of software has on our energy consumption, and in practice, if there's something we can do, and also what's the role of free software in this regard, right? Beyond, like, as soon as your application has ads, you're automatically using more energy just by rendering things that your user doesn't need. If you're gathering your user's information, you're also using more energy that you don't need. And this is something that in free software we take for granted, and we're not even like putting all that value. And this is something that we can also help put the focus on with this kind of organizations. Also knowing that there's metrics and ways that we get to measure the energy consumption of software also means that developers get to look at their consumption and say, this is too high, I can make it low, and then less polar bears are left without a home, right? Which is nice. And this is gonna be obviously something that will be available to everyone beyond KDE, right? Sooner rather than later. So if you're interested in taking part of that in any way, feel free to reach out, and you will be very welcome.
I know at the last GUADEC that I went to, there was a talk on measuring the energy consumption of the conference itself. It would be cool to maybe do something like that in the future. It's a little too much to sign up this time, but it would be cool if we could measure things like that, because it always feels good to see this is how much of a carbon footprint this conference has had, and how we've improved it from like previous years.
Yeah, that's a good start, right? Like if you don't know how much you're using, you don't get to know how you improve, right? And then you end up taking actions on, I guess this will be better, so we're gonna use, I don't know, bamboo hats. And but if you have numbers, if you have ways of measuring and knowing what you want and where you're going, you can always do better and more purposefully.
Yeah, I appreciate that trend. I'm seeing that more and more in tech, and so yeah, maybe we can institute something like that for a future conference. I think it's great that Katie is like shining a light on that aspect.
Well, we haven't done it for the conference. We're looking into doing it for the software, which
Yeah.
is what we do in practice in KDE. I mean, we have conferences, but we put for the world is our software. Seeing how it applies to a conference would be interesting.
Yeah.
Also to an operating system. For example, actually, like we've been looking like what's the impact on apps so far? Like, for example, a PDF reader, like does Acrobat use more or less energy than a Killer does, right? Like it's a question. Looking at even operating system would be eco-friendly or not is something that also eventually could be looked into. Obviously, like there's a ton of variables that maybe are not even actionable, but yeah.
It is a fun transition since when I first started using computers, the trend was to have the biggest, flashiest, loudest, meanest, hottest computer you could possibly have. And now the trend is to have the quietest, smallest, most energy efficient computer you can have. So it's like we've really flipped over on what's cool these days. I like
maybe
it. I
changed, right?
Maybe this being changed. Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, if you look at how gamers, for example, talk, it sure looks like it, or how mining works, right?
Yeah.
Like crypto mining. Like over there, it's still about the loudest and most consuming components to some extent. But sure, like introducing mobile phones has also been a huge change over there, and it has already impacted all of us. And being able to do more of that, well, it can only be better for everyone. I mean, if you make your application consume less, it also will run faster, and it will also bother you less. Because in practice, the longer your CPU is doing things, the more, but you cannot use your computer as well, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Alesh, quick question. Did you hand draw the KDE logo on your whiteboard behind you?
Yeah. Oh, wait. I didn't do it. It was my partner who did it for our 21st birthday. It's supposed to be 25 candles and then a cake and a K logo and a heart.
It's adorable. It's absolutely adorable.
That is pretty cute. Yeah. We'd like to invite folks watching, if you have any questions about LOS or GUADEC or Academy or these fine folks in general, please let us know. Put them in the chat. We'll see them. Yeah, I think LOS itself is very exciting. There are still some challenges, and this is just not the time. They just don't take the hint, you know? Throwing me off my game, Jack.
You don't get the hint.
Yeah, like just get out. Yeah, so there's still some challenges to kind of work out, especially having like a conference that is remote and in person. I think that when the pandemic hit, man, we all kind of scrambled to figure out how to hold conferences remotely. And I think we did a pretty good job of that. And now we are leveling up to doing that in person and remotely. And we're going to see how that goes. I have every confidence that it'll go smoothly, but there's, it's, there's still some work to be done. And Alish and Christy make things run smoothly. And I've not been to Academy, but anybody that's been to GUADEC has noticed that Christy's made it run smoothly. So I think we have a bit of a dream team here for running an awesome Linux App Summit. hope people could come and join us. And
I think that in general, conferences in free software have always been somewhat hybrid, right? Like, for example, in 2019, when we didn't even think about pandemics, we did have our videos live already, and people could watch the talks, ask questions remotely. I think that the big discussion here is like, what's gonna be the new standard, and are people really like, what role are people gonna take on that? Is it gonna mean that people will just attend online, people will want to come or not? I think that these all are very interesting questions. I know what I want, but it also doesn't matter that much. uh, what matters is how can we get people most engaged. My impression is that, for example, we can do an amazing job at being hybrid, but then it will still be not the same, and this is also a little bit unfortunate. But otherwise, making sure that everybody can take part of it is also one of the values of free software. So yeah, we're juggling these two nice things and hopefully coming up with something that is well, quite good.
but still temporary, right? Because we don't want to forever have a hybrid solution, right?
Well, I guess
Or
then
maybe
we already were somewhat hybrid, right?
Mhm.
Or at least we're more hybrid than a lot of conferences were. Like, we were allowing people to participate from the outside in talks to watch them. We didn't send them food from the social event store. But it's also like much harder, the kind of things you can do or remotely than the things you can do for your attendees locally, including, well, letting people like laugh at each other's jokes without having to go into an awkward chat and watching their cats walk all over them.
I'm sorry. I'm trying to discourage this. But just
You're the one being walked on.
Yeah, I think that it will take a few more years until people will be fully comfortable on flying again. So maybe this hybrid solution would be around for like at least 4 to 5 years. I would also want to like have more in-person events, and so we can, as Alish mentioned, we can joke with each other, socialize. But we have new challenges, and let's see how the world will respond to that and how the situation will be.
yeah, that's a good point for kind of all conferences, right? People are not going to be super comfortable for maybe a little bit still. So there's some value for sure in figuring out like a good solution for hybrid. Because if it does go smoothly, I'm sure it will. Once we kind of worked out the kinks and stuff, it's feasible that we could maybe see doing that in the future to get more participation. I was kind of surprised at how smooth the online conferences went. So, yeah.
I went to a conference earlier, well, last year in November, a little bit with the thought of, let's see what conferences look like now that the world is, well, not the same anymore. And I do believe that it will never be the same for sure. And a little bit my concern over there was to which extent the remote speakers and even attendees are second class, right? And I mean, we can do everything in our reach to make it not be that, but it's always gonna be better to like be physically with the other people, and I'll be able to just go have dinner with the speaker you liked and ask them the questions that you didn't dare, because I mean, we always say that don't do that, but it always ends up happening. Or buying a beer to somebody who's doing interesting work and saying, how can I do that thing with your thing that I don't know how to do? I mean, these are very powerful tools that we get to have as humans who live in a society. And this is definitely not going to be all that possible. Or, I mean, maybe in a very convoluted and post-apocalyptic way, right? But remotely, you don't get to do this kind of things.
Yeah, one thing before I ever came to LAS or GUADEC, I only had gone to big conferences like LinuxCon before it was, I think, Open Source Summit. And like big conferences like that, you don't feel comfortable to like go up and talk to somebody and say, I liked your talk and buy them a beer. I mean, maybe you do, but there's a lot of people and it's a really big formal thing. One thing that struck me from the get-go with LAS, because I went to LAS first before I ever went to GUADEC, so that's kind of where my heart lies a little bit more. And everybody's so nice and down to earth, and you really can just get together and have some beers. It's very informal.
Well, maybe that's also in part the symptom of being such open communities, right? Like, it's not the fact that the conferences are nice themselves, but that the communities are nice and that we're approachable that way. And we need to be approachable in any case, right? If I am not approachable to people asking people things in conferences or in chats, well, I'm not gonna get new contributors who are gonna help me, well, reach our collective goals. So we need to be nice, which sounds very weird, but well, it forces us to be nice people, which is, well, a pretty good conclusion in practice. Where, well, if you're interested in this software, you get to like go to the people working on the part that you are interested in, and maybe even idolatrize that way, and well, work with them hand in hand. And this is a very interesting opportunity that I am sure that doesn't happen in a company that, for example, you will be told you need to work on that part of our product, and then, well, now I am this person, and then you get a title that says I am responsible for that thing, and you feel a bit like an imposter. But otherwise, if you say I want to be there, I'm gonna talk to that person who clearly is doing what they want to do, and then you start working with that person, like, you're automatically empowered that way. And this is also like how many of us are included in the communities, I am sure in Gnome as well.
Yeah, absolutely agree. Any final comments or questions from the audience? See, we have a few people watching. If you got anything to say, this is the time to say it.
I think that your cat got more comments than us.
I know. I didn't mean for Jack to steal this show, but I'm glad you all liked him. He's 5 months old and very needy. He wants to play all the time.
That's ageism.
Oh, making me blush. I didn't mean to be ageist.
It's been a while since I was 5 months old.
Yeah, a while. A minute. Yeah, okay. Well, thank you, both of you, very much for your time, your contributions, making sure that open source communities can thrive and meet in a very smooth and seamless way. I think that your work is incredibly valuable and not always the most obvious. That's how you know it's such good work. So, yeah, thank you. It's wonderful to work with you two, putting on this conference, and I can't wait to give you both a hug with a mask on. I know it's not social distanced, but
Thank you. And also, before ending this call, this is for the whole audience. Heather and Britt are also part of the organizing team, and here is an applause for an amazing help that they give us and for the big support. So thank you to both of you.
yeah, it's a pleasure to work with you. Can't
Very
wait
much
to
so.
see you all. Yeah, in Italy. So remember, everybody, go submit a talk and come see us or participate remotely. We can't wait to see you all.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thanks.
It's our pleasure.
Okay, bye, everybody.
Bye.